You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
What's going on, guys? My name is Craig Miller. Other people like to call me Method Miller and or C-Money. You can call me whatever you want. But right now I'm here to talk about that new NWA movie, Straight Outta Compton. Straight Outta Compton is a movie about the NWA members Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, the DOC, and MC Ren. It starts off in around 1986, before the group had any sort of fame, anything. And it starts just in Compton, California, with Eazy-E selling crack cocaine and all that on the streets with his old boys. But things pick up quick. And the story really delves into Eazy-E, specifically Ice Cube and Dr. Dre. With Eazy-E, it talks about how he had a relationship with Jerry Heller, who is the manager of NWA, for their first two albums. 3 if you count their EP, 100 Miles and Running. Now, what's interesting is throughout the whole movie, Eazy-E and Jerry Heller, they have that strong relationship that it always shows throughout the whole movie. But how it goes on with the other characters, Ice Cube is the first person to not trust Jerry Heller. Now with history, I did not know that, but it's interesting how it led into Ice Cube becoming the artist who he did as a solo artist after NWA, with America's Most Wanted, having the triple KKK, lingo in the title. And then with Dr. Dre, it starts off with him kind of being a DJ for the World Class Wrecking Crew, which is the group he was a part of before NWA. But their fame isn't as important as NWA, because that's where Dr. Dre really became more prominent than he had ever become before. The DJing got him to where he was in NWA. With the other characters, I hate to say it, they don't delve too much into their personal lives. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it has to do with the time. But the important characters they got were Eazy-E, Ice Cube, and Dr. Dre. Eazy-E is an interesting rapper out of the 3 that are mentioned as the big 3 names of NWA. What I did not know is Eazy-E originally did not want to be a part of NWA. He didn't want to do the rapping thing, and before NWA he had never done it before. It was because of Dr. Dre and Ice Cube that he became who he was. Ice Cube was the writer of the group. He was the one who made all the lyrics, but he also was the one who thought he was treated unfairly by Jerry Heller, and that's the reason why Ice Cube left the group NWA in the first place. Basically because of Jerry Heller. Dr. Dre was the second person to leave, and once Dr. Dre left, NWA was no more. You had basically 3 big separate artists. Again, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, and Eazy-E. Out of the 3, my favorite person is Dr. Dre. He is my favorite hip-hop producer of all time, and there are just numerous songs as to why. And it all began with NWA. And if you see the film, you'll notice a lot of artists credit Dr. Dre for their fame. Snoop Dogg, Tupac, 50 Cent, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar. Dr. Dre is almost the go-to guy in hip-hop, the way I see it. Ice Cube in the movie, it shows that he was very angry with the labels, and he wasn't going to take it with how he was being treated with Priority Records after when he was with Jerry Heller and NWA. Now, Ice Cube is probably one of the strongest MCs in NWA. And more of his personality shows as the film goes on. It shows Ice Cube writing the script for Friday. He says it's going to be funny. Eazy and Ice Cube talk about Boys in the Hood. They don't ignore the movies and stuff that happened throughout their lifetime in the 90s and what they were going through. And that's another thing to mention, the word what they were going through. It shows police brutality, and it is hardcore. You see them slamming them into the concrete of the cement of the ground. You see police slamming them into cop cars. You see them arresting them at concerts, NWA concerts. But you also see what they were trying to censor. Police did not want them to play the song F the Police. I'm not even going to censor myself. Fuck the police. They weren't going to play that song at a concert. But you know what? NWA said fuck that. They weren't going to not play it. They weren't going to hide all of this police brutality that existed in LA. Not even just Compton, in LA. And where did it start to grow after? With the LA riots because of the Rodney King trial. People got furious about that, and NWA was not one to shut up about that topic. They were well aware of it, they talked about it, they have songs about it. And it brings up the point in time where it is 2015 and these things still go on. Maryland had its own riots for about 2 weeks. I've been to Maryland twice this year for the first time, and it's just shocking that that happened. I basically went to Maryland for a vacation for a week, and then a month later these riots all happened, and then a month later I go back to Maryland. That's crazy to think about, that these things still go on, that there is still police brutality in the United States of America. And it isn't just, it's predominantly African American citizens. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen with other people, but you can't say there's nothing on the news about police harassing African American citizens, and that's just the way it is, and it's wrong. But NWA was not one to shut up about it, and I'm glad this movie came out when it did. In fact, I think it came out at the right time, straight out of Compton for 2015, with all of these things still going on. About 20 years later, 30 years later, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't even be happening. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I'm from Massachusetts. I'm from a small town in Massachusetts. These things don't happen here. There's no police brutality. There's no African Americans or anything afraid to go outside. But I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't happen anywhere else in the world, especially if NWA is talking about it, especially because they did talk about it. Recently, for promoting the film, Dr. Dre and Ice Cube were walking around Compton talking to like Kendrick Lamar and other people. There's footage of them talking to Eminem. And Dr. Dre says people should not be afraid to say what they want to say. And I 100% agree with that. People shouldn't be censored. People in this country shouldn't be afraid to want to say what they want to say. The First Amendment, freedom of speech. But we seem to be soft with that nowadays, especially because we have to censor almost everything. The fact that police thought they could try to censor NWA at their own concert, that's wrong. That's just wrong. They tried to even pretend that it was nothing, that things in LA, in Compton, that they weren't a big deal, that nothing was happening. But you know, they would go outside and you'd see crack dealers, regular people, mothers, fathers, kids, being harassed by the police. And what for? Not every African American citizen is a bad person. I'm not going to say none of them are, but they're not all bad. And you can't just assume anything of anyone without actual evidence or proof. I think it's a movie, not just fans of NWA, but I think many people need to see this movie. Everyone should see this movie, to see that life is not what it seems to be, and that police aren't just the friendly neighborhood people that live on your street. There are bad police out there. They're out there every day. They just get away with what they do, and it's wrong. And that's all I have to say. I think all of you should go see Straight Outta Compton with NWA, Ice Cube, Eazy-E, Dr. Dre.